Hey, Dr. Aziz here. Today you're going to learn the two key elements, the two pieces of the puzzle of how to build confidence in yourself. And I don't mean just a temporary boost of confidence or a hit of confidence when everything goes your way in life. I mean consistent, rock solid, stable confidence where you approach situation after situation, day after day, with a sense of confidence in yourself. And that might seem far-fetched or unrealistic, but trust me, stick with me in this video and you're going to learn so much about how to do that and how I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's possible to increase your confidence. And I'm excited about this stuff because the two things are, in case you're wondering what they are, increasing your self-esteem and building your social skills. That's it. If you can increase your self-esteem, change the way you feel about yourself, like who you are more, and be able to talk to people, have conversations with people, know how to chit-chat before a meeting or at work or with a stranger, or maybe even talk in a group. If you know how to do those things, then you naturally start to feel more confident, wouldn't you? And that's all there is to it. And I'm really excited about this because I've just put together a new version of my program, the Confidence Code. I'm calling it the Confidence Code 2.0, that goes in massive depth into these things. You might have heard about it. And I'm so excited about it that I want to share. I want to start sharing some of the material even before it comes out. And so you're going to learn about those two things, and you're also going to learn the three confidence-killing myths that I call them. The three things that get in our way that stop us, that might be even stopping you from being able to do those two things, build your self-esteem and get better social skills. And these things just stop us dead in our tracks. So I'm really excited to share this stuff with you today because I think it can really help you rapidly progress towards a life of greater confidence. And a place that I always like to start with people is, well, what's the end game here? Let's say you had that confidence. If you were fully confident in yourself, you liked who you were, and you were able to go talk to people, what would your life be like? What would you go do? What would you be able to take on or experience? I mean, that's where it gets really exciting because confidence is just the first step. It's not an end in itself. It's a vehicle that's going to get you to the life that you want. And then I don't know how much you know about my story, but I spent over about a decade in my life stuck in shyness, social anxiety, low confidence, low self-esteem, whatever you want to call it. I was trapped. I was in a cage. I didn't like who I was. I didn't feel like I had many opportunities. I couldn't talk to people that well. I certainly didn't have any dating opportunities. I didn't feel like I had any choice when it came to dating relationships with women. And I didn't have any confidence to pursue a career. I mean, I was really stuck. I played a lot of video games, hung out a lot with one of my guy friends. That's all we did. Played a lot of Defense of the Ancients, DOTA as it was called back then. It's a precursor to League of Legends if you're ultra nerdy like I was. But so I was stuck though, and I used to think all these myths, and the myths I'm going to share with you in a minute. I mean, those are the things that clients tell me every day when I work with them. Those are things that I told myself that kept me stuck. And that is until that I realized that I could break through. And I figured out some key elements, and that's what I teach in the Confidence Code, is how to change the way you talk to yourself, how to build your social skills. And I'm going to get into that in an upcoming video I'm going to send you in a few days. But before we do that, we have to know what gets in the way and what stops us. And as soon as I removed that, and I was able to start moving towards things in my life, everything started to change. I was able to start talking to people. I started to naturally start to feel like who I was. It was a weird experience, having not liked who I was for so many years. I mean, year after year, literally hating myself, hating who I was. And then to have that shift, I mean, it was like this, like I could take a breath of fresh air. I remember walking in the campus in UC Santa Barbara and seeing the blue sky and the green trees, and I just felt so alive. And nothing crazy had even happened yet. I just stopped beating the crap out of myself in my own head. And man, you come alive when you do that. And then I was able to start talking to people, meeting people. I started having people ask me, like, what are you doing? And I started to share that stuff. That was the beginning of my informal confidence coaching. And then I went on to go to graduate school and learn about, study this stuff, how to help people even more. And now I help people from all over the world through the Center for Social Confidence. We do coaching, individuals, all this stuff. And so I've seen day in and day out exactly how this can shift. And I've gotten feedback from the programs and the book that I have that people are telling me day in and day out, this works. And the reason I'm hammering this home is because that's one of the biggest obstacles that gets in our way, right? Is, oh, it's not going to work. It's not possible. And I'm here to tell you, first and foremost, from my own experience, that it is. And I used to tell myself stuff like, there's something terribly wrong with me, I'm broken. It's complete and total BS. You're not broken. There's nothing horribly wrong with you. It's just what? That's right, two things. Self-esteem, how you see yourself, and your social abilities, your social skills. And you can build each of them. But before, I'm going to teach you in the next video how to start exactly doing that. But first, in this video, we got to blow the myths out of the water. We got to destroy these confidence-killing myths, because if we don't destroy these, if you don't see through these, then you're never going to change, you're never going to take action, because these myths just stop you dead in your tracks. So what are they? The first one is what I call the different species myth. Different species myth. And that is, on some level, we look at someone who seems confident, cool, collected. They walk into the room, they shake people's hands, they seem to know what to say, they can make women laugh, they can talk in a group, they can share a story, and you're watching this person. And you have a couple of reactions. One, you think, whoa, who's this guy? Wow. And then you think on some level, wow, we're so different. We are so different. It's almost like he's a different species. That's what I felt when I looked at someone like that. I was like, I am so different than that person. And there wasn't any sense of like, oh, maybe I could learn to do that. It was just like, oh my God. And beneath that myth is the idea that he was just born with it. That's just who he is in his core. I wasn't born with it. That's not who I am. So there you go. And if you believe that, if you're stuck in that story and that myth, then you cannot change, because you already sold yourself out. I can't do it. The reality is, it is complete and total BS. You can study him, study what he's doing, study his behaviors. If you replicate those behaviors, those patterns, you will get similar results. It's as simple as that. Now, of course, there might be a lot of self-esteem stuff that gets in the way, and I'll show you how to get rid of that. And so you can move towards that. But as soon as you can start replicating him, oh, he speaks loudly and he shakes people's hand. Okay, do that. So when you start to study him and say, let me see what he's doing here, then all of a sudden he's not a different species. He's just got some skills that you can pick up like that. So that's the first myth that we have to change. They're not a different species. The second myth is what I call the helpless myth. The helpless myth. The helpless myth is, okay, maybe it's some skills that he's got. Maybe he's not a different species, but I can't do that stuff. I mean, I can't go shake people's hands and look them in the eye. I can't go talk to that person that I don't know. I just can't do it. Now, this myth is really tricky, because when I talk to clients, and I know this because I used to say it to myself, we will literally say that. Maybe you even said that to yourself in your mind. I can't do that. And it goes through our minds so quickly, and we just believe it. We just think, oh, I guess that's true. We don't even question it. But if you think about that, I remember I was talking with a client recently, and he was talking about there was a guy at a bar that was like, they're playing pool, and he kind of was like flirting with a woman. Like he was getting a little close to her, like kind of in her space and talking, and she seemed to respond positively. And he's like, yeah, I can't do anything like that because blah, 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 blah. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You can't do anything like that? And he's like, no, I can't. I was like, okay, well, let's break this down. What exactly was he doing? And I had him describe to me the behavior the guy was doing. Well, he was sort of in her space. Okay, what does that mean? Well, he was standing like maybe a foot away from her and looking her in the eye as she sat there. And doing what? Talking to her, asking her questions. Okay, so which one of those can you physically not do? And there's this pause. And then he laughed. He's like, well, that sounds ridiculous. I mean, I physically can do all of those things. It's just I'd be so uncomfortable. It's like, oh, okay. So instead of saying I can't, what's more true is I could do that, but I imagine I would feel very uncomfortable. Is that right? Is that more accurate? He's like, yeah, that's more accurate. But do you see the difference? That might sound like a subtle tweak to you. That is the difference between a life of shyness and stuckness and low confidence to freedom. It's that dramatic. Because when you stop telling yourself I can't, and you start saying I could, but it's scary, or so uncomfortable, I'm nervous, or I'm worried about rejection, then you have something to work with. Then you can change that. But if you say I can't, then you're stuck. Do you see the difference there? So that's the second myth, the helpless myth. You're not helpless. You can learn this stuff. It's just you'd be uncomfortable doing it. You might be a little scared doing it. And that's what I can help you with. I can help you shift that stuff. But you have to admit that first, that you can shift this. And sure, some part of you maybe is doubtful, but let's find out. And I'll teach you more how to do that in one of these upcoming videos. The third myth is what I call the self-solving problem myth. And this one is exceedingly common. This one is the self-solving problem myth. And where this comes from is, I joke with my wife, our last name is Gazapora. That's my family name, Gazapora. And we have this thing in my household where, like say a kitchen light goes out, and then another kitchen light goes out. We got one of those like track lighting, there's maybe like 10 lights, and now there's 2 or 3 lights out. And my wife's kind of like, it's kind of dark in the kitchen, isn't it? I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, do you want to change the bulbs? And I was like, I don't know, I kind of just got used to it. She's like, oh, it's terrible, it's dark in here. And I realized something, that it's like, wow, in my household growing up, like a few lights would go out and we'd just be like, at first you notice it, like, whoa, that light's out, that sucks, it's dark in here. And then you're kind of just like, meh, that's just how it is, you adapt. You adapt to it. And my brother and I used to joke about, we look back and they're like, wow, we just, around the house, stuff wouldn't get done. And we would joke that, oh, the problem will just solve itself. Like the light bulb's out. Yeah, the problem will solve itself. I don't need to do anything. And we would laugh because it's so absurd, right? How is the problem going to solve itself? But we do this with confidence, don't we? I used to do this for years. The problem will just solve itself. I used to think, I don't even know how I used to think it would solve it. I didn't even have a clear idea. These myths are often sort of poorly thought out. They're mostly unconscious. Oh, it'll just happen. I'll move to a new city. I'll go to college. I will get a new job. Something will just happen. It'll just happen, and the problem will solve itself. That myth will keep you stuck for years. Trust me, I've talked to people that are 20 years old, 18, 15. I've talked to people that are 30, 35, 45, 50, 60, 70 years old. The problem doesn't solve itself. I just have to tell you that. I have to break that myth in you. The problem does not solve itself. You must take action to solve that problem, to break through that. And that's why I'm so excited to share with you this stuff and the stuff inside the Confidence Code, because it's going to teach you how to do that. And you'll learn more about that program, about when it's coming out and how to get it and all that stuff in an upcoming video. But also in the next video, I'm going to share with you, hands down, the most powerful secret to start increasing your confidence immediately. Like, this is kind of the overview. We're removing the obstacles in this video. The next video, you're going to learn about exactly what do I do, how do I do it to start to build up my confidence, build up my self-esteem, and increase those social skills. So stay tuned. That next video in a few days, I'm going to send that out. In the meantime, please comment below, ask your questions. I love reading through those. Any questions or comments you have, please go below right now and write something down about how this impacted you, what you learned, what you took away from this. Challenge me, question me, anything. I love to read those things and respond to that. So go ahead and do that now, and I'll see you in the next video in a couple days.